Israel said it intercepted Hezbollah's farthest strike into the country yet as thousands of Lebanese seek refuge from the widening conflict. A former Belarusian prisoner sat down with Euronews to describe their experience imprisoned in the country.
Russian strikes wounded at least 7 people in the southeast Ukrainian city of Zaporizhia on Tuesday. This marks the third day of attacks on the city. Homes and cars were damaged. One resident was at home watching television when they heard an explosion.
Там жили кто-то, мать, сын, невестка, ну и внук. Внука вроде бы не было дома, как рассказывают. Да. А невестку забрала скорая. Димку вытащили из-под завала, но мы не знаем его состояние. А она
их забрала скорая.
А маты, по-моему, ходила.
Meanwhile, Moscow released footage it claims shows strikes on Ukrainian troops and weaponry in Russia's border region of Kursk. Ukrainian forces launched an ambitious incursion into Kursk last month and are still holding ground despite Russian efforts to push them back.
The Israeli military intercepted a missile launch from Lebanon into the central region of their country, in the latest escalation of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. No injuries or damage were reported from the missile, which triggered sirens in cities like Tel Aviv and Netanya. This represents the furthest south missiles have penetrated Israel from Lebanon. The IDF said it had identified, struck and destroyed the building in southern Lebanon that launched the missile. Overnight, they also targeted a number of Hezbollah sites, including weapon storage facilities that set off secondary explosions. Israel killed a top Hezbollah commander on Tuesday as part of a 2-day bombing campaign that left more than 560 people dead and prompted thousands in southern Lebanon to seek refuge from the widening conflict.
Portuguese, Spanish, French and UK governments are telling nationals in Lebanon to immediately leave due to increasing hostilities between Hezbollah and Israel. IDF strikes targeting members of the Lebanese militant group have killed at least 575 people in the country's south. A plane from Beirut landed at Copenhagen airport with passengers who escaped the violence.
عشنا بكتير بأوضاع يعني سيئة بخص من جنوب لبيروت يعني.
Især turen fra byen Sur til Beirut var ekstremt hård.
In Brussels, a European Commission spokesperson said leaders will discuss the ongoing situation at a United Nations Security Council meeting on Wednesday night. He added that if there is a need for coordinated evacuation, the EU is ready to act.
Again, all the contacts, including among the member states of the European Union, are now happening at the highest level, ministerial level, prime ministerial level or leaders level in New York. The evacuation as such, if needed, is conducted by member states affected. And of course, whenever there is a need for EU-wide coordination, the EAS, our delegation on the ground and the EAS headquarters are always there for the member states.
Thousands of people in southern Lebanon have been displaced due to Israel's attacks. An IDF spokesperson said the campaign is designed to be as short as possible.
Kosovo's Prime Minister Albin Kurti demands Serbia to hand over 45 indicted Serbian militants. They were charged for their alleged involvement in last year's attack that killed a Kosovan policeman. The Prime Minister also unveiled the street sign of a road in Banjska in northern Kosovo, which has been named after the police officer.
Siledžija koji žele rat na Kosovu I Balkanu neće biti mesta na Kosovu. U Srbiji ne znam, ali oni na Kosovu neće šetati.
Kurti says Serbia must be held responsible and accuses them of trying to annex part of Kosovo. He claims the paramilitary group was orchestrated and financed from Serbia, but Serbia says the gunmen acted on their own. Only 3 people have been arrested, while others are at large. The European Union and the United States condemned the attack and have called on Serbia to hand over the gunmen.
Isolating and torturous. This is how Amnesty International describes the prison conditions for political prisoners in Belarus. Belarusian opposition activist Natalia Herrscher has experienced this firsthand. Now she is free again. She is fighting to ensure that the 1,400 people who are behind bars in Belarus because of their ideas are not forgotten. Euronews spoke with her at the former Stasi prison in Berlin.
Jüngst ein Gefangenenaustausch hat ja stattgefunden zwischen Russland und westlichen Ländern. Da ist ja kein einziger belarussischer Gefangener oder Gefangene freigekommen.
Die politischen Gefangene, das ist die schlimmste Menschen für Diktatur. Warum sollen sie loslassen? Weil sie werden wahrscheinlich, wenn sie das Land sogar verlassen, sie werden auch aktiv werden. Ja? Also es ist sehr große Gefahr für Diktatur.
The conditions in Belarusian prisons are harsh. Natalia had to spend 46 days in a cell 1.5 meters wide because she refused to sew uniforms for the Belarusian regime.
Das war Foltern. Also ganz klar für mich, weil die Temperaturzelle war so niedrig. Ja? Du könntest nicht schlafen während der Nacht und es war keine Bettwäsche, also nichts kalt, vielleicht 10 Minuten Augen zu und dann musste wieder aufstehen, um sich warm zu machen. Ja. In dieser Zeit habe ich auch mehr Verletzungen zugefügt im Bein, es wurde gebrochen.
Was durftest du machen während dieser Zeit? Also durftest du irgendwelchen Aktivitäten nachgehen, schreiben oder etwas lesen?
Schreien habe ich nicht probiert, aber singen habe ich gesungen. Das war so, also ich war in der Zeit nicht alleine im Karzer zusammen, also ich meine im gleichen Gebäude, nicht in gleichen Zelle mit einer anderen politischen Gefangenen und per so Gesang haben wir unsere Emotionen gewechselt. Als wann sie gesungen hat, dann ich habe geweint. Und wenn ich gesungen habe, dann bei ihr traurige Emotionen hat gelöst.
Gab es bestimmte Lieder, die er gesungen hat?
Ja, das war Kupalinka.
Kupalinka is a well-known Belarusian folk song, often sung during the protests in Belarus and has become a symbol of resistance ever since.
Pope Francis addressed a large crowd of faithful in the Vatican on Wednesday, expressing his closeness to the Lebanese people and calling the recent escalation in the country unacceptable. Tensions between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah have escalated in recent days, with cross-border strikes threatening to push the region into a wider conflict.
Auspico che la comunità internazionale faccia ogni sforzo per fermare questa terribile escalation. È inaccettabile. Esprimo la mia vicinanza al popolo libanese che già troppo ha sofferto nel recente passato.
The Pope also asked faithful to pray for him ahead of his upcoming trip to Luxembourg and Belgium, which remains in place despite the pontiff cancelling all his audiences earlier on Monday because of a slight flu-like state. He will receive a sobering welcome in Belgium, confronted with the country's legacy of clergy sex abuse and institutional cover-up. Francis is set to meet with abuse survivors that have penned an open letter, asking him to launch a universal system of church reparations and assume responsibility for the wreckage on their lives caused by the abuse.
They say the best way to learn is from one's mistakes. The headmaster of this high school in Rome told us that the belief convinced him to introduce the use of AI to enhance teaching. Not only that, but he believes such tool can also help reduce dropout rates. Italy is among the first EU countries to have launched a pilot project to begin this year, introducing the use of AI in 15 schools across 4 regions.
L'intelligenza artificiale non si limita a dire ok, questo è un errore, ma come dire, indica al ragazzo quale tematiche deve approfondire, non solo, ma rispetto a quelle tematiche fornisce dei contenuti che possono aiutare appunto i ragazzi a individuare il punto debole nel loro processo di apprendimento.
In this school, only fourth-year students will be involved in the trial. Using an online platform, they can improve their learning both in class and while doing homework. We asked one of the teachers involved in the project how it will work.
Una classe sarà di controllo di test e un'altra sperimenterà questo sistema. La classe di controllo è importante perché farà una didattica di tipo tradizionale e servirà proprio per confrontare i risultati.
Students welcome the initiative.
Credo che noi siamo tutti cresciuti con l'AI e con lo sviluppo molto forte dell'AI e ci troviamo in un momento in cui lo utilizziamo tutti, ma siamo anche ancora consapevoli del fatto che ci siano delle problematiche, delle incertezze sulle informazioni che dà certe volte l'AI. I professori ormai si sono anche loro resi conto che noi ne facciamo uso e quindi va regolato sicuramente.
Initially, the program will be tested for a limited time with the hope that it can be extended.
Parte quest'anno questa sperimentazione su 15 istituti nazionali, durerà 2 anni, sicuramente essendo un progetto sperimentale sarà soggetto poi a valutazioni successive. Visto il trend di attenzione verso l'intelligenza artificiale, immagino già facilmente che si estenderà a tutte le scuole.
Italy's education minister said one of the goals of using AI in schools is to bridge the gap between supply and demand in the labour market. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.